It's all fun and games until a narcissist or toxic person begins to devalue you. In this video, I want to go over the reasons why a narcissist must devalue the people in their lives. There's a few things working together that make up the devaluing phase, so let's have a chat about it. One of the most common reasons why a narcissist has to devalue is because they're bored. Narcissists love and are in love with the love bombing phase of the relationship. Even if they aren't necessarily showering you with love and attention, affection, and overwhelming vast amounts of praise, things are still moving at a very fast, rapid pace, and it's very fun and exciting for them. And when those feelings fade, typically within the first 1 to 3 months of the relationship, the narcissist gets bored and they begin to look for new supply. Just as we feel things are becoming more stable and more secure, things are cooling down a little bit, and we're going further with the relationship, the narcissist is already over it. And like I say, when they're over it, when they're over with the love bombing, they begin looking for another source or other sources of supply. Devaluing is also really common when the narcissist feels like they can devalue you. So sometimes they hold off until they feel as if it's okay for them to do it. And what I mean is the love bombing phase is there and set in place, and it holds us over so that we will stay when things get bad. Once a narcissist has a pretty good idea that you will put up with every bit of bullshit they throw at you, that is when they become confident enough to begin to devalue you. That's why love bombing is so important. We have to get so hooked on them. We have to get so sucked in to the point where they know they can start to slowly turn things because that 180 is about to happen. And that's when the devaluing comes in sometimes, once they know that they have the ability to do it because you won't go anywhere. This is why when we do walk away, it catches a narcissist for the most part pretty off guard. The ego and arrogance of a narcissist is such that they can't possibly see you walking away from them. You're too hooked, you're too into it, you're gonna keep trying. To them, you've put up with the abuse and you will continue to do so. That's why it's such a ego bruise or narc injury, if you will, when you don't stay in the relationship. Along those same lines, a narcissist will devalue you once they realize that you aren't perfect. In the love bombing phase of the relationship, that very, very beginning little piece, the narcissist knows nothing about us. We know nothing about them. Of course, everything's new and fun and exciting. And when they see that we're a good, caring person, they immediately identify us as perfect. And they dive in, and we usually do the same. And as time goes on, the narcissist begins to act like a narcissist. And so we obviously react to that. We notice those patterns of behavior. Not only that, we notice those changes in the patterns of behavior. Maybe they used to call you every day, for example, and then something happens and one day they don't call. And we notice this immediately. The pattern has been interrupted. Something has changed. Something is up. So when we mention it, the narcissist will begin to make excuses, tell you you're overreacting, they just got busy, but something doesn't seem quite right. Because we mentioned it, we call them out, and we do something, everything slowly unravels and the narcissist becomes quite disenchanted with us, as we usually do with them. They feel as if they can devalue, they begin to do so. This starts to affect us. We start to notice these things, and all of a sudden, we're not perfect anymore. We're far less perfect when we start calling them out on that behavior as well. A narcissist, usually when this happens, they feel really angry. They feel tricked. We were supposed to be perfect. They deemed us as perfect, gave us that title, but now we're not living up to the expectations the narcissist had for us. To them, we become controlling, demeaning, mean, things like that. The perfection, quote unquote, that they see in us in the beginning fades, and it always will. It's natural that we all learn something about a person that we don't like, but a narcissist sees this as basically, you are not giving what you advertised, you are not what you said you were. If you'd like to talk with a survivor one-on-one and get some help and support, you can set up private phone chats with me by emailing BookAChatWithJess@gmail.com. Another surefire reason for a narcissist devaluing a person is they just can't hide the toxic. When you're a very selfish, very toxic, possibly highly narcissistic person, honestly, you can only be nice and sweet and caring for so long. It's just not in their normal nature. Narcissists are not good caregivers. They're not very selfless people. In time, just because they are who they are, they have the disorder, or narcissistic tendencies are so deeply rooted into their mind and into their brain, who they really are, the real them, who they have become, is going to emerge. That's why I tell people it doesn't matter what you do or what you don't do. There's just going to come a day when you're devalued. You can be perfectly agreeable. You can not call them out. You can do whatever they say, not do things they tell you not to do. You can behave, quote unquote, perfectly for 3 months, 6 months, whatever. Eventually, just because they are who they are, this is going to happen. You will be devalued. A lot of people refer to this as the mask slipping. I've never really talked much about a mask that narcissists wear. I don't really like that analogy very much, but it's still a very viable comparison. Devaluing can ramp up the longer we stay with a person like this, a very highly toxic, potentially narcissistic person. They learn very well and very quickly how much abuse you will take, and they're always going to push your limits and test your boundaries. That's just what they do. It doesn't matter what happens, you will be devalued. A narcissist will always be ready to devalue when they need to regain control. This is also a very big time when devaluing comes into play. Gaslighting is very important to a narcissist because this, combined with other forms of manipulation, is what they will use to try to keep you confused and weak and upset. When we're weak, when we're confused, we are easier to control. Everybody is. When you don't really understand what's going on, you just kind of look to the narcissist. When we're weak, we're less likely to go anywhere. If a narcissist feels backed into a corner, maybe they feel like you're taking control of things or you're trying to, they can have an outburst as they desperately try to maintain or regain control. Similarly, when you've sorted them out, there can also be an influx of devaluing. Once they know that you know, that can be very interesting and potentially dangerous. A narcissist is nothing if they don't have complete control over you. If you are difficult for them to control, you might notice they don't actually stay around very long in the relationship. A narcissist is totally able to just quickly discard if they don't feel they can control you. It doesn't mean they won't hoover. It doesn't mean they won't try to stay in your life in some way, shape, or form, but they more than likely will not attempt a long-term relationship that many times. They realize this is not going to work for them, and they'll quickly move on to somebody else as soon as they can. A toxic, potentially narcissistic person will always run hot and cold, something else to really pay attention to. They're looking for new supply or potentially hoovering old supply. And when they run cold with you, they're out on the prowl. You're going to notice that devaluing ramp up. Hot and cold is devaluing, essentially. Sometimes they'll start a fight so they don't have to talk to you for a while. This allows them to focus on other sources or people which they're grooming. When someone really likes you, they don't run hot and cold. They're all about you all the time. So we have to notice when things change. People are creatures of habit. Yeah, life happens and things change, but when someone calls you every day, for example, for a month, and then they don't talk to you for 2 days, unless they're dead, this is a big pattern shift and something is happening and we need to be aware of it. I always tell people, you have to identify the pattern of behavior. It is the easiest way to spot if somebody is unstable or having other issues. Are they into you? Do they show genuine interest? And so on. Tell me in the comments, how long did it take in your situation before you were devalued? For me, it was 3 months like clockwork. So if you would like to share your story, feel free to do so in the comments. Please like, share, subscribe, comment, super thanks, all that good stuff if you would like to. Big shout out to my Survivors Army. Thank you so much. And thank you for listening today. Have a great day, Survivor, and take care of yourself.